Roots and Roofs, where we explore the intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship in the real estate world. I am your host, Mackenzie Shelton. Join us as we dive into the unique journey of balancing family life with owning a thriving real estate business. Each episode, we will uncover inspiring stories, practical tips, mindset conversations, and expert insights from others who are carving their paths in the real estate industry. Whether you are a seasoned realtor, a prospective buyer, or simply curious about the dynamics of managing both home and career, Roots and Roofs is your go-to podcast for heartfelt discussions and invaluable advice. Tune in and discover how these incredible women are building deep roots from the ground up while nurturing their families under the same roof.
Everybody, welcome back to Roots and Roofs. I have a wonderful guest with me today, Nicki Montelongo. Nicki, thank you so much for joining me. Do you want to just take an opportunity to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Nicki Montelongo. I'm a mortgage loan officer. I am a single mom, so divorced, gosh, I want to say like 5 years now. Started a mortgage branch on my own, so that's been kind of a roller coaster, but keeps me busy.
Awesome. And how many kids do you have?
We've got 3.
Awesome.
So 15, 13, kind of, actually, we're very similar, and then 8.
Yes. Yeah.
We know.
Yes. Okay. So what inspired you to be a mortgage lender, and how has the industry changed from like when you started to now?
So I was in York, Nebraska, which if anybody knows, it's a small town, and graduated college, had a accounting degree. And at the time I was married in the only accounting office in town he worked for. And I'm very competitive. So I knew like, if I want to be happily married for a bit, I probably shouldn't work where he's at. So I stayed at the bank that I had done through my like internship, and they said, "Hey, you can either go. You might have liked this path. You can go be an agricultural lender, like stick your hands up the cow, like check out the farms." And that to me was like, what? Or you can do mortgage lending, because I mean it was just totally two different paths, but there was definitely a career set out. So I knew nothing about mortgage, jumped right in, and then obviously back then that was right after the regulation. So if anybody on the call doesn't know, back then if you had a pulse you could get a loan. It was stated income, you could do stated assets. So you could call and say, "Hey, I make $60K a year, I'm going to buy a house for $200 and I got $20K in the bank." Okay, you're approved, right? So like totally different world then, but that's kind of how I got into mortgage.
Wow. Okay. So I knew that you kind of got started right about then. Just so our listeners are clear, you could literally get a loan just by saying that you made a certain amount of money.
Yeah, there's zero, like, I hate to say it, like very little to none regulations at times. Mm-hmm. So, which kind of makes sense for the transition of where we came from. But
it 110% explains the collapse.
And people go, "Why do you need this?" I'm like, because, it was so extreme. Like, we didn't have any regulations. And so, and back then, just random fact, you could borrow 120% of the value. Like, house is worth 100, let's do 120. That makes sense.
And they would literally throw on this silent second mortgage. Yeah, I was actually just talking about this, that people like literally don't understand this whole 50-year mortgage thing. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole, but I was talking about that with somebody, and I was like, you guys don't understand, like 2008, literally people were going into default because they had 100% first mortgage and then, another silent second mortgage, and they didn't have the equity to be able to even sell. So that's why all these foreclosures were happening.
And back then, it sounds crazy, there was reverse amortizations. So like you could sometimes, you would be paying and your balance would sometimes be going up. Like just such dumb stuff back then.
Oh my God.
So yeah, like, it was a different world, but yeah, you learn a lot coming out of that. Let's just say that.
Sure. So we've talked about what it looked like before '08. What does it look like now for somebody who's maybe never bought a home before and is just curious about how the process is?
We're just going to say no paper trail. So I think obviously went from no documentation to, I feel like, yes, it's a little overkill. You need all the paperwork. Where was that deposit? I need all the like ins and outs and intricacies of it. And I feel like we joke like I need your blood type, right? But
your firstborn child.
Right? Like the reality is you better come in with a good mindset of you need to be able to provide documentation. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is if you can understand where we came from, that we just need to make sure that we're doing a good job and we know all the ins and outs and we're not making bad loans.
Yeah. So it's really funny. Earlier this year, I was selling a house in Carson, Iowa, and I was representing the seller, and the buyer's agent could not, which she should know better, could not understand why we needed a pre-approval letter. And she was basically trying to argue with me. Well, it turns out that it was actually her client arguing with her because he was an old farmer who had not bought a home in probably like 50 years. And he was basically going from the farm to living in town, and just like was like, no, I have the money. Like, I don't know why you're like, just could not wrap his head around why we were not going to accept this offer without him going to the bank, right? So it took 3 days of arguing. So that's why, like, it's really funny when younger people then have even their parents who have not bought a home for like 30, 40 years, have them help with the process. And like the parents are giving them completely wrong like not advice, information on how this all works. So I'm sure you see that all the time.
How many times do you hear even from somebody who's like buying that home and they haven't moved in 15 years, like, this isn't how it was last time. I'm like, it's probably a good thing. Yeah. Like, we don't want it to be like last time, but it is true. Like, the advice when they have no idea what it's like these days.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. 100%. That's funny. So for someone buying a home right now, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about the mortgage process that you wish people did understand better?
So I think I want to speak more to like what we do at Neo Home Loans. So we definitely lead with education first. So I think if I would say there's something lacking in people wanting to buy, education, because there's social media and like things popping up in the news. There's so much misconstrued information. So for us, we lead with information first. I even tell people, like, I don't care if you don't buy, but you have to have the information to make a good decision. Yeah. And once we're done with our consultation, you'll have all the facts and then you can make a decision. So for me, I think lack of education. And so we lean into that. We do what's called a pre-purchase consultation. And we talk about, like, where is it going? What's this house mean to you today and tomorrow? But then the reality of, like, what are the fears and the emotions that are tied to that? So I think, to me, you got to tackle fear and emotion. You got to tackle, like, what's really the reality of the news and the media. And then educate is just huge.
Yeah. So this is one of the reasons that I personally send people over to you, is because there are, as a whole, I guess, institution, there is a lack of education from other mortgage lenders. I mean, and realtors too. Like, there's tons of realtors out there that are not educating their clients on the process, right? And so if people have the information, then they can make better decisions, right? And then usually there's not as much emotion in the experience, right? When they have all of the information present.
Education is empowering. So we say, like, whatever decision they make at the end of that call, you're going to be empowered and confident into it.
Yes.
So that the fear doesn't get back in there, because they see the positives. They see the, like, reality of what's real.
Yes.
And agreed. Like, to me, there's not very many realtors on the other end that do that. So when I have somebody like you who does a great buyer's consultation, holds their hand, educates them, and then I do that, like, that's such a great team for both of us that people are likely to buy.
Exactly. Yes. And even if they don't necessarily buy right then, they are more likely to come back around.
They have a plan.
Yes.
They have a plan. They know what to do. And so it's like, it's okay if you don't want to buy it. We'll talk next year. Like, that's okay. And they get that there's no pressure from both of us, I think, which is nice, because a lot of people are like, I need that next paycheck. You know?
Yes. Commission breath, hardcore.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
I literally tell that to all my agents. I'm like, do not go to appointments with commission breath, okay? Because people can sense that. Yeah, I love that. So how do you help clients navigate kind of more of the emotional side of home buying, since we're talking about that?
So we do an upfront, what's called dreams and goals call at Neo. So it's like a 10, 15-minute call. And I know it, like, yes, you're going to get the information about employment and credit, but I like to ask questions of, like, what's scary about buying a house? What's going to keep you up at night? You know, what's exciting? I want to know that you want this house for the garden with the kids and the craft room. I want to know that. And I want to know that, hey, I like to travel. I need to have like a traveling fund, and I need to know like what's their core motivation. And then I also need to know like what's going to change in the next 3 years. Do you have a promotion? Do you have a baby on the way? Like kids getting out of the house? Like I need to know more than just what's on the application. So that way that I can really dig into their emotional like core when we get to the consultation. Stack the cards on how we need to approach it and like what to talk about. So back to the question, but hopefully that makes sense. But like really tying into like people, like the Maya Angelou, people remember how you make them feel, not anything else. So how you make them feel on that call and really narrow in and just get to know them. Then talk about the mortgage.
Yes, agreed. I think that's probably why you and I both have a lot of repeat referral-based business, and that's pretty much what our entire business is at this point for both of us, is because we aren't transactional. We are looking to make sure that we are helping the whole person, and like you said, helping them with their dreams and goals and aspirations for the long term. I actually have a client right now. She's going to laugh if she listens to this. We're actually under contract right now. And I started talking to them like over a year ago about one home that was on the market that they could not afford. Okay. And basically, very long story short, this house ended up going into foreclosure, and it now is at a price that they can afford it. And so we are under contract for that home. But all of the things that have transpired over the last year that I have had to like either, kind of educate them through or talk through or, whatever, like all of that leading up to where we are now with them actually being able to sell the current home that they're in, buy this home, live in it hopefully for a really long time, and like watch their kids grow up in it, and all these things would have not happened had I been a transactional real estate agent, right?
So it was too much work, right? Like I need to get paid. Like I don't want to invest the time and energy, right?
Right.
But the long game is where you could speak to this. The long game is what fills my heart.
Yes.
Like you've been doing this long enough. I cannot be transactional. We'll all get burnt out. I need to feel like we're touching people's lives and changing them and impacting them and see it. And then like partner with people like you who love that same vision.
Yes.
Otherwise I'm out.
Yeah, really.
Like truly.
Yes.
Kindly.
Yeah. If I lived a transactional business, just like you said, I would have been burnt out 5 years ago, and Jack would, I don't know, have to be doing something else right now because there is absolutely no way that I could keep doing this. So yeah,
100%.
Agreed. So, what is one piece of financial advice you wish every family would follow before starting the home loan process?
So I was thinking about this question, and so on my side, I would say, I don't know, 95% of the applications we get, somebody's paying X rent or X house payment. We'll just say, make a number up, like $1,500.
Yeah.
And they're like, but I can't afford $2,500, Nikki, but I really can afford $2,500. And I do believe that they can, but to set people up for success, if you think you're going to be wanting to buy in the next 1, 2, 3 years, start paying the payment you think you can afford. Because I think there's definitely payment shock, very limited savings out there for society. And so I think if you can force yourself to be structured, like live that way, maybe that's old school, but I think that there would be so much more prepared people. There would be like the emergency slosh funds, right? And we see a lot of times where people are living very paycheck to paycheck, and if that water heater goes out, then they're screwed. So this is just like train yourself for what you like, train for like any kind of sports, right? For where you want to be. I think people should do that.
You want to know what? That is actually really great advice. And I've had a couple clients that have done that, and they were much better set up for that next house or, moving up or, whatever it is. Yeah, I agree. That's great advice.
Or even like the people living with mom and dad, like,
yeah,
they have that payment shock is like, we haven't paid anything to pay. And so anytime we have a person there's a big gap, I try to remember to tell them like, while you're house hunting, even if that,
Mm-hmm.
even in that short 2-month window, right?
Yeah.
Keep saving as much as you can. So like you're there, but I wish people would do it from like,
You know what? That rings really true. We actually, Jack and I have talked about doing this with, because we have a kid graduating at the end of the year. We've actually talked about, he is planning on living at home while he goes to plumbing trade school, that sort of thing. And we were like, we're going to make him pay rent. Like, we're probably just going to put it right into a savings account for him to be able to buy a house someday. But, like, he needs to get used to paying bills so that when he does move out, even if he just chooses to move into an apartment at some point, whatever it is, there's less kind of like sticker shock. And also he's learned how to manage his money better up to that point, right?
It's just about learning the saving skills, and that's human nature too. So I think that's huge. If one of my kids stay at home, which hope you don't, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. We're a family that has kind of said, you can choose to go to college if you want, but we're not paying for it. And so because of that, both of my older boys have been like, well, I'm going to figure out how to not have to pay for college, right? Because they, you know, just with social media, I think that they've learned that like going into massive amounts of debt is like maybe not the best option. So
smart though.
Yeah.
And those are like those jobs, like plumbing, priceless, right?
Yeah. Always going to need a plumber. I don't think AI is going to replace plumbers. So
no, trades are good.
Yeah. Okay, so you wear a lot of hats. You're a mortgage professional, you're a single mom, you live in a small community, and I know you contribute a lot. How do you find balance or at least some harmony? Because I'm not sure that balance really exists kind of among all of those different things.
So if I have to be like vulnerable, I guess I would say, so before the divorce, so we'll say 5+ years ago, obviously you would have been in our, you would have been in that crazy, like we did 400 loans that year. Okay.
I personally closed 72 transactions that year. So yeah.
So we were dying.
Yes.
Never do I want to go back to that.
No.
But there was zero work-life balance. There was zero, truly, I wasn't very like, for 2 hours a day, I was there with the kids, right, and then very absent, you know, and it would kill. Health was down, no personal time for me, all the things, right? So you come out of like, can I say the word hell? Come out of hell, right? And you have to take a step back and realize like what you really want in life. So for me, maybe the divorce was a really good like wake up call. So I only get the kids 50% of the time. So for me, it's like, okay, I get the 50% of the time with the kids. I need to protect that like a mama bear. So you know, I don't work late Mondays and Tuesdays, and the weekends I have my kids. I try to work just the mornings on the weekends so that I protect like our family time. So boundaries, first of all. And then like, because I don't have 50% of the time, I can kick ass those other days and really work hard. And as far as community, I think I've just kind of taken a, like, in our line of work, you get asked a lot to do things. And
yes,
I have gotten, maybe this is like a terrible thing to say, but is this going to benefit me or my business personally? Then I'll do it. But if it's not, being okay with saying no.
Yeah.
Like just boundaries. Even when I call you, you've got really good boundaries on your voicemail. Like, hey, if it's between here and here, I'll call you back later. And I love that because you're like, I'm protecting family time. And so it's huge.
Yes.
And your kids feel that. We were, again, back to the Mayo Angela thing. We were at a conference and they said that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I pour so much into how my clients feel, that they feel like my compassion and love. I don't spend near enough time and energy for my kids. So like when I'm home working from home, like you're kind of grouchy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to be treating them definitely not probably all like better than my clients, but I don't necessarily do that. And so I think for me, it's like, I need to be definitely more mindful. Mm-hmm. We've made lots of steps, but there's always good growth too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel all of that. I feel like that's how I was in 2020 as well. And although I was not a single parent, Jack was still working 50, 60 hours a week. And I also was probably working 50, 60 hours a week and had Scout still at home with me. Like there was zero balance involved. So yes,
And-
I think
and
that
COVID schooling. Let's just
yes,
put that
yeah,
on the
oh
type
yeah,
thing.
I kind of like PTSD, like block that out of my brain. I forgot. Yes, my children were also home for several months, you know. So yeah, it was. I think a lot of us that did a high level of production in 2020 and even going into 2021 kind of like took a step back and were like, that was great and I never want to do that again. So like, how do I not do this again?
No amount of money
No.
I'll ever go back there.
Yeah.
I'll refer out, anything.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. Yeah. It is very interesting to watch, although I wish this was not the circumstance. It's very hard, I think, for a lot of, I'm speaking for real estate agents specifically, but I'm sure you kind of see this in your business too. With someone who is younger or, you know, I want to say less experienced in the business, it's really hard to watch them also kind of do the same thing, even though you've cautioned them to not be that person. But it's like part of that is like you kind of have to bust your butt for 3-4 years to like really come out on the other side of it. So if anybody's listening and you're new and you're thinking like, oh, maybe I just don't really have to hustle that hard and I'll still see success, I just don't think that that's true, you know?
But boundaries. I mean, I work late probably almost every Wednesday and Thursday, and I work most Saturday mornings. I don't have my kids.
Yep.
And I work on Sunday. So I mean, like, you're still working, but
Yep.
you're not Monday, Tuesday. You know what I mean? You're
Yes.
still working, like, but you're, again, boundaries.
Yes.
Protect something. If you're single, like, protect date night, right? Like,
Right.
something in there so you have some sort of structure. But yes, you're going to have to go super hard.
Yes, agreed. I've always cautioned my agents to just find one day out of the week. It doesn't have to be the same day. It, you know, just depending on what your schedule looks like, but like just pick one day that like you're not scheduling showings or, you know, doing an open house, going on a new appointment, like whatever it is. Like just pick one day a week, because otherwise you do suffer from burnout. So.
I will say, too, from, like, mom perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot, probably a lot less now. I had a lot of, like, mom guilt.
Yes.
And how, like, again, going through all that, you find, like, you need to spend time on you. Like, what's, like, you have to fill your cup up first, too. So to be able to fill up everybody else's cup. So it's a lot of balancing, right, too?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. There is no such thing as work-life balance. But I think you can be in harmony for sure.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good word.
Agreed. So what lessons from motherhood have kind of shaped the way that you do serve your clients, since we were kind of just talking about that?
I mean, we definitely talked about a little bit of, like, we leave with that compassion and education. I do think and you can speak to this, a lot of money-making decisions are generational.
Yes.
So when you meet clients, it's how my mom did it, and they learned from their parent and their parent. So a lot of times when you're teaching your own kids, right, money skills, you're teaching your clients money skills, from even simple things of, like, clients don't know how to budget and, like, those kind of things. Or even, like, I have a couple clients right now where we evaluated their bank statements and, like, hey, what are some things you could be cutting out? Where could you be saving? And, like, again, taking that time and energy, that's not my job description, but I love doing that because it's going to make them a more well-rounded homeowner. You know?
Yes.
And then we do a lot of long-term financial planning with our clients, meaning, like, we're going to talk about, do you have a estate planner? Like, if you pass away, what's going to happen to those kids? You know, do you have enough life insurance? You just bought a huge house. So a lot of that stuff, I talk to my kids about, like, savings, and then I share my retirement plan, like what I'm doing to get to retirement, so that they can see, you know, it's like the same, like, meld together. I'm sure you do that too. With some of your financial, like, investment properties, your kids got to see that.
Yes. I actually was just yelling at one of my children. I won't name which one. He has decided that he has the money to spend on McDonald's, like, consistently every week. And I said, you can spend your money how you want, but it won't be without consequences. So I would like you to think about whether you would like to start paying your cell phone bill. And he was kind of like, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, how you spend your money has consequences. So
my daughter Ava did basketball last year, and I'm like, I will pay whatever you save. I'll match it. So she's now learning, like, she's got, like, a huge chunk in her savings. She put it there right away. She saves it. So like she's understanding my money's getting low. Okay, I can't go out. Like she's understanding that. And so like I'm like, okay, she's going to be very money,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a thing.
It is. Yeah. And Jack and I come from two very, very different worlds as far as that's concerned. Like my parents did a lot of education around finances and saving. And I mean, I graduated and they gave me baby B stock, I mean, like all of these things, right? Yeah, I know. But then, there's a lot of people on the other side of that where, unfortunately, a lot of people, like we talked about, do live paycheck to paycheck. So there isn't really a lot of education around that, mostly because they don't have the opportunity to have a different circumstance, so that's kind of the other side of it, is like, what are you then trying to teach your children with the resources and things that you at least have in place? Because I think that is kind of missed sometimes. If like for Jack and I, like it was literally, okay, I have enough money to make the mortgage payment this month, right? Cool, I'll buy you a car, but you have to pay for your own insurance, your own gas, all of these things. And I lived a very different experience, so educating your children with at least what the resources that you do have,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. You are known definitely around the Southwest Iowa for being very active, kind of in the community and stuff. Like, what kind of drives that involvement for you?
I just think that I love it really comes down to what we just said. I mean, I love the impact we can make on our people. I love impacting like another agent like you, like having a conversation, helping you elevate, you help me elevate. I love helping our clients elevate. I love seeing our community grow and improve. I mean, just we do sometimes have like a negative connotation on the Iowa side a little bit. So I think I don't feel it, but
that's the thing. I've had to tell so many of my friends and even family, that grew up in Omaha. I'm like, okay, you got to get past a small portion of Counts Bluffs, and then it looks a lot different, and the people are a lot different. So come over a little bit further. Yeah,
but it doesn't get better though, right? If we don't like love on it and really invest into our community and like help it starts with our clients. Like it helps, like, how do we elevate our clients' game?
Mm-hmm.
And we touch more lives, right? And so at NEO, our whole purpose is to just touch more people to improve their financial situation, help them build generational wealth. And it just keeps, growing.
Yes. Agreed. I love that. Can you share a story about a moment in your career where you really felt like you made a difference for a particular family?
So with our process, it's definitely a little bit different. We do talk long-term game. Like we talk like, okay, here's 4 decisions you can make, and here's how it affects you today and then in 15 years. So that's kind of, a lot of our clients get that feel, but a couple of them off the top of my head, we do what's called an annual financial review. Mm-hmm. I call my clients every year. We talk all the things.
First of all, I have to stop you. This is like literally my favorite thing about how you run your business. I know that you just continue to like reap the benefits from that, but go ahead and keep going. Sorry.
So I enjoy it, right? Like you get to talk to your clients every year, and you're going to talk about like what's stresses, concerns, right? And so, but there's a handful of clients that have like the stresses and the concerns, and you're solving problems, and there's a handful of clients that are doing really well but don't really know what to do with it. And so when we talk about it, and I get to call them up, and I get to, and you know this call probably, where you're like, oh my gosh, you got $150,000 worth of equity, like, good for you, man. Mm-hmm. However, ... that's a 0% rate of return. Mm-hmm. And you start having this conversation. So I've had multiple clients, but one in particular I'm thinking of. We did their call like 3 or 4 years ago on this, and I dropped the nugget of like, have you thought about investment properties? Like, it's a great way to build wealth, hide some money from the government, like all the things, right? You get it. She can talk more about it in a different podcast.
Yeah.
And planted the seeds, and they're like, you know what? We'd love to talk more. So we set up a consultation. They got on board. I got to call the agent. So then affecting the agent's life, like, hey, so-and-so is ready to buy an investment property. They bought one. Mm-hmm. Last spring, call again. And they're like, I think we're going to want to buy one like end of this year or early 2026. So again, I'm getting them ready. We're going to pull the trigger probably here in a bit. call the agent up again. But like, that's shaping their kids' lives, not just their lives, their kids' lives. Like, that's impacting. And if you didn't take the time and energy to call your clients and educate them and talk to them and learn their stresses, concerns, what's working, what's not working, they would have never had that investment property and looking to buy another one. So, I mean, that's just one of many calls, but just a really good example where like I walk out of my office every time I'm on those calls, like, oh my God, it's, you know, like if I'm helping people, you know, they need an estate, because you hate to get the call where you're like, Joe Smith died and I didn't have the right life insurance.
Yeah.
So like, let's make better financial decisions for our clients.
Yeah, I love that. You know, just to add a little bit about investment properties, I think the other part that people forget, like, I mean, from the perspective of like, yes, you're helping them build wealth and their kids and all of those things, but you're also giving somebody who may not be able to buy a home a place to live, right?
I didn't think about that.
Like I've always thought about that because we choose to invest in some of the smaller communities where there is, you know, lower income families and things like that. Like we just bought a house in Oakland, Iowa, and I'm renting it out to a single mom who has for like the last 6 years been living in a tiny, like 2-bedroom apartment where her kids don't have a yard to play in, you know, and all these things. And so it's like, yeah, maybe she's not in a place where she can buy a home, but now she gets to live in a home that does better her children's lives and, you know, that sort of thing. So
I didn't think about that. Smaller communities, that's a great idea, because the apartment, you know, they're not full of rental opportunities.
No, absolutely. So
it's huge.
Yep. Okay, last question for you. So looking ahead, what kind of impact do you hope to continue making both professionally and personally in your community and your family? What's kind of the vision for you?
So the vision for us is, especially like with Neo, but the vision is that if somebody goes and applies with us and goes through our whole process, right? The dreams and goals call and then our annual financial reviews and all this hand-holding experience, people don't realize that is not the norm. Okay. So they realize like they have a great experience, and I just want to get more word out that you deserve more from your lender. You need more from your lender. Like, they need to be providing way more service for you. And you don't have like the person in your corner necessarily giving you that financial advice. You need it.
It's not just about the rate.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it's about that long-term relationship. And if we can touch more lives, like think about that community-driven thing. If I can touch more lives and they can go through our process and have that experience, the calls of people passing away and being unprepared or underprepared for retirement and all of that aren't going to happen as often. So to me, my long-term vision is like, we just need to touch more families, but they need to see and know that this is different.
Yeah,
I guess
where the value lies.
Yeah. Instead of just going online, getting a letter and hand and buying a house, like there's so much they're missing that is huge to change their life.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I get like super passionate about, like, probably a little too much, but I mean, it's realistically where like that's where the future is. Because either you're going to go, it's with AI and everything, like it's going to be automated, or you're just going to like push a button, get a mortgage, or it's going to be like, I'm your advisor. I'm going to push you. I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable, but you're going to be better for it.
Yeah, I love that.
But I think that goes the same on your side. Like, you could show a house.
Absolutely. Yes.
But then what are you doing as an agent then to really build that long-term advisory role?
Yeah, absolutely. I know. To add to that a little bit on the real estate agent side, right? That is like one of our team goals, right? Like how can we continue to impact like the community in a really big way by bringing value and not being transactional? We've started like almost kind of throwing into like our consults and even listing appointments and things like that. Like what are, you know, we've talked more about like short-term goals, but we're talking more about like long-term, like what do you want your life to really like look like in 10, 20 years, you know? And it's funny, this year, we've had listing appointments with people who have bought in the last couple of years that really don't have any equity. They maybe would have to bring a check to closing. And we're literally telling them like, you should just wait, right? Because although I would love to sell your house today, like you're not going to get to the goals that you actually want by me just sticking a sign in the yard tomorrow. So yeah,
that's huge. I mean, like you're not needing to get the paycheck. You want to impact their lives. And it's just, I wouldn't love what I do and you wouldn't love what you do if we didn't have the passion and like for our people and like to change people's lives.
Yeah.
And to take the time and energy to do it. Like, cause there is lots of times and energy involved in that, but just loving what you do.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a wonderful conversation. And I'm sure I always get like texts and messages from people that are like, that was so great. So thank you so much for educating us and, bringing all of the value that you have. And I always love doing a deal with you because even the ones that aren't smooth, you and I know how to make the process smooth. So I appreciate it.
100%. It's been a pleasure. You're amazing on your end. Like you're about getting it to the end and not necessarily about winning.
Yes.
And you're like, what's best for everybody involved. And so I love that you just lead with a heart of service.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to Roots and Roofs podcast today. If you loved today's episode, please let me know. I love hearing from you on Instagram and Facebook, so feel free to send me a DM or tag me in your stories so I can share it too. If you're looking for more information about today's topic, please visit my website, mahoganyacres.com, and all of the information that is listed in the show notes below. Until next time.